Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God, back with you with the next video in my series, reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. Without further ado, returning to The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, as read by Lord Naren White. And whilst we was a-standing there in the dimmish light, here comes a couple of the hounds bulging in from under Jim's bed, and they kept on piling in there was 11 of them, till there was 11 of them, and there weren't hardly any room in there to get your breath. By jings, we forgot to fasten that lean-to door. The black gnat, he only just hollered, "Witches," once, and keeled over onto the floor amongst the dogs, and begun to groan like he was dying. Tom jerked the door open and flung out a slab of Jim's meat, and the dogs went for it. And in 2 seconds he was out himself and back again, and shut the door, and I knowed he fixed the other door too. Then he went to work on the black, coaxing him and petting him and asking him if he'd been imagining he saw something again. He raised up and blinked his eyes around, and says, "Mars Sid, you'll say I's a fool, but if I didn't believe I see most 1,000,000 dogs or devils or summon, I wished I might die right here in these tracks. I did most holy, Mars Sid. I felt 'em, sir. They was all over me. Dad, fetch it. I just wished I could get my hands on dem witches just wasn't. Only just wasn't, is all I'd asked. But mostly I wish they'd let me. Lone I does." Tom says, "Well, I tell you what I think. What makes them come here just at this runaway black's breakfast time? It's because they're hungry. That's the reason. You make them a witch pie. That's the thing for you to do." "But my land, Mars Sid, how's I gonna get me a witch pie? I don't know how to make it. I ain't ever heard such a thing before." "Well then, I'll have to make it myself." "Will you do it, honey? Will you? I'll wuss up the ground and under your foot, and I will." "All right, I'll do it, seeing it's you. And you've been good to us and showed us the runaway black. But you got to be mighty careful. When we come around, you turn your back, and whatever we put in the pan, don't you let on you see it all. And don't you look when Jim unloads the pan. Something might happen. And I don't know what. And above all, don't you handle the witch things. Handle 'em, Mars Sid. What is you talking about? I wouldn't lay the weight of my finger on 'em. Not for tenfold $1,000,000,000,000, I wouldn't." Chapter 37. That was all fixed. So then we went away and went to the rubbish pile in the backyard, where they keep the old boots and rags and pieces of bottles and wore out tin things, and all such truck, and scratched all around and found an old tin washpan, and stopped up the holes as well as we could to bake the pie in, and took it down cellar and stole it full of flour and started for breakfast, and found a couple of shingle nails that Tom said would be handy for a prisoner to scrabble his name and sorrows on the dungeon walls with, and dropped one of them in Aunt Sally's apron pocket, which was hanging on a chair, and the other we stuck in the band of Uncle Silas's hat, which was on the bureau, because we heard the children say their pa and ma was going to the runaway black's house this morning, and then went to breakfast. And Tom dropped the pewter spoon in Uncle Silas's coat pocket, and Aunt Sally wasn't come yet, so we had to wait a little. And when she was come, she was hot and red and cross, and couldn't hardly wait for the blessing. And then she went to sluicing out coffee with one hand, and cracking the handiest child's head with her thimble with the other, and says, "I've hunted high and I've hunted low, and it does beat all what has become of your other shirt." My heart fell down amongst my lungs and livers and things, and a hard piece of corn crust started down my throat after it, and got met on the road with a cough, and was shot across the table. and took one of the children in the eye and curled him up like a fishing worm. I let a cry out of him the size of a war whoop, and Tom he turned kinder blue around the gills, and it all amounted to a considerable state of things for about a quarter of a minute, or as much as that. And I would have sold out for half price if there was a bidder. But after that we was all right again. It was a sudden surprise of it that knocked us so kind of cold. Uncle Silas, he says, "It's most uncommon curious. I can't understand it. I know perfectly well I took it off because you ain't got one but one on. Just listen at the man. I know you took it off, and know it by a better way than your wool-gathering memory, too, because it was on the clothesline yesterday. I see it there myself, but it's gone. That's the long and the short of it, and you'll have to change to a red flannel one till I get time to make a new one. And it'll be the third I've made in 2 years. It just keeps a body on to jump to keep you in shirts, and whatever you do manage to do with them is all the more than I can make out. A body you think you would to learn to take some sort of at your time of life. I know it, Sally, and I do try all I can. But it ought not to be altogether my fault, because you know, I don't see them nor have nothing to do with them except when they're on me. And I don't believe I ever lost one of them off of me. Well, it ain't your fault if you haven't, Silas. You'd have done it if I could reckon. If you could, I reckon. And the shirt ain't all that's gone, neither. There's a spoon gone, and that's it. That ain't all. There was 10, and now there's only 9. The calf's got the shirt. But the calf never took the spoon, that's certain. Why, what else is gone, Sally? There's 6 candles gone, that's what. The rats could have got the candles, and I reckon they did. I wonder, they don't walk off with the whole place. The way you're always going to stop their holes and don't do it. And if they weren't fools, they'd sleep in your hair. Silas, you'd never find it out. But you can't lay the spoon on the rats, and that I know. Well, Sally, I'm in fault, and I acknowledge it. I've been remiss, but I won't let tomorrow go by without stopping up them holes. Oh, I wouldn't hurry. Next year'll do. Matilda Angelina Araminta Phelps. Whack comes the thimble, and the child snatches her claws out of the sugar bowl without fooling around any. Just then the black woman steps onto the passage and says, "Missus, they's a sheet gone." "A sheet gone? Well, for the land's sake." "I'll stop up them holes today," says Uncle Silas, looking sorrowful. "Oh, do shut up. Suppose the rats took the sheet. Where's it gone, Liz?" "Clar to goodness, I ain't no notion, Miss Sally. She was on the clothesline yesterday, but she done gone. She ain't there no more now." "I reckon. Is the world coming to an end? I never see the beat of it in all my born days. A shirt, and a sheet, and a spoon, and 6 can." "Missus?" comes a young yaller wench. "There's a brass candlestick missing. Clear out from here, you hussy, or I'll take a skillet to ye." Well, she was just a billing. I begun to lay for a chance. I reckoned I would sneak out and go for the woods till the weather moderated. She kept raging right along, running her insurrection all by herself, and everybody else mighty meek and quiet, and at last Uncle Silas, looking kind of foolish, fishes up that spoon out of his pocket. She stopped with her mouth open and her hands up, and as for me, I wished I was in Jerusalem or somewheres, but not for long, because she says, "It's just as I expected. So you had it in your pocket all the time, and like as not, you've got the other things there too. How'd it get there?" "I really don't know, Sally," he says, kind of apologizing. "Or you know I would tell. I was studying over my text in Acts 17 before breakfast, and I reckon I put it in there, not noticing, meaning to put my testament in, and it must be so, because my testament ain't in, but I'll go and see, and if the testament is where I had it, I'll know I didn't put it in, and that will show that I laid the testament down and took up the spoon, and, oh, for the land's sakes, give a body a rest. Go long now, the whole kit and billing of ye, and don't come nigh me again till I've got back my peace of mind." We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.